This is Mont Mercou here, and I showed this in previous videos, but what I've got here is some images of the clouds, which I've colorized. I made the sky blue, which it is, and we've got a couple of different views here, one above Mount Sharp here, with clouds above Mount Sharp. This is Mount Sharp here. Not a great deal of detail in this one. You can see these clouds up here, quite thick cloud, right? Now, I've been sort of spying on some of the people that work for JPL and NASA via various social media sites, and they've been posting loads of pictures of these clouds, and they're quite amazed by them because these clouds have been here now for over a week, and we've had some really good images, loads and loads of images of them, and these are really good. And there's also this really cool image here, which I've colorized. This is Phobos, okay? This is one of the lower slopes of Mount Sharp here, which I've colorized. This is a black and white image. I've colorized it. And we've got the nice potato-shaped moon, Phobos, above Mount Sharp. And this is the best view we've had of it so far in many, many years. Really good view of it, right? That is pretty cool. And you can't see a lot of detail on it because obviously it's a long way off and it's not a huge moon like ours. But if any of you get trolled by flat earthers and weirdos like I do on online, especially on some of the Mars groups and UFO groups, a lot of them say, "Oh, it's not. The rover's never been to Mars. It's not on Mars. It's in Iceland, or it's in the desert somewhere, or it's in Antarctica, or they make up some mysterious place where it's supposed to be." Well, we don't have a moon like this on Earth. Our moon is way bigger than this. In fact, it's almost as big as Mars, our moon. If you look at the size, if you actually look at the diameter, I think Mars is about 2 or 3 times the size of our moon. Because Mars is fairly small. Okay? Our moon is really big, and this is quite a small moon, Phobos. So if you get trolled by anyone like that, link to this and show them it and say, "What do you call this then? This is not our moon. This is taken from another planet." And you can actually tell when you see the sun in some of these images. I mean, you need to use a special filter to measure it. But basically, the sun from this perspective on Mars is much smaller. It's quite a bit smaller because obviously Mars is much further away from the sun than we are, okay? It's an extra 50 million or so on average miles or something like that away from the sun. So it can be proven that the rovers are on Mars just by looking at the things in the sky, like Phobos and like the sun and things like that. And often you'll see above Mount Sharp, you'll see Deimos as well, which is a lot smaller than this, about a third of this size, but much rounder, okay? This thing is a sort of potato shape, and we do not have a moon like this. So if you're one of these flat earth trolls, eat my shorts, right? Okay, that's what I'm going to say about that. Now, I've got a couple more images here. Now, I'm going to show you this one. Now, this is the Aries statue that I showed in a previous video, right? And I've got a close-up of it here, which I also showed in a previous video. But I've done some colorized versions of this and enhanced it for you to have a look at. And there's some weird details on this. Now, this is Sol 3062. I'm also going to show you this image from Sol 3062. This is taken looking the other way. Now, this is 3062 looking along Mount Sharp here. This is Mont Mercou here, the base of Mont Mercou here, which sticks up like that cliff thing, okay, where the clouds are in that previous image here, right? This is Mont Mercou, right? Now this image here shows the base of Mont Mercou just there, and the rover is here and looking all the way along, as I asked them to. I asked them to look along here and take close-ups of the Aries statue and these domes and weird buttes over here, okay? Because there are carvings and things on these. Some of them are giant, like this statue here, right? Now this other image here is also the base of Mont Mercou, but it's just looking at the ground just in front of it here, and these mounds just behind on Mount Sharp. These are lower mounds next to Mount Sharp. This is Mount Sharp up here, okay? Up here there, right? Now, this is getting interesting because, right, let me go to this one first. I'm going to show you this one first, and I'll show you the other one because there's something very strange in that one as well. Now, this I showed the other day. This is Aries that I called him Aries, right? giant statue carved, or I should say a giant portrait carved into the side of the rock that this is made out of, okay? And when I say made out of, I mean constructed, okay? These are constructed, at least some of them are, they're constructed out of large blocks, which is then covered in concrete. You can see the concrete here, and that's like a render on top, and a lot of the render on this, or outer layer of concrete and stone, has broken away, okay? Now, I'm going to show you in here because I've done a colorized version of it, and you can clearly see what this is. Now, I would ignore this thing sticking out the back here. In fact, the actual face would come around like this, okay? But where the rock has actually eroded and broken and collapsed away, it's exposed this kind of shape coming around like this, okay? But what we have here is some amazing detail, like I showed before. You can actually see the eye detail here really well, and the eyebrow, and there's the other eye. You can see that other eye and the eyebrow going around like that. The nose and nostrils like this. Now, there's something really interesting here. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And obviously the horns sticking out either side, right? Which go up and over like this, and then down the other side. Other edge of the face there. You can see the mouth really clearly. Just there. You see the lower lip hanging, just kind of protruding slightly there, as you should in a portrait. The cheekbone, this is the cheekbone here, but this is kind of cracked and broken away, this area here, but the face would have come around like this, okay? That's the shape of the face, and you can see that those horny parts have got a part here as well. Now, this may be a hat. This may actually be, you may be wearing a sort of a tricorn style hat like pirates used to wear. That's what it kind of looks like to me. They may not be horns at all. This may be some kind of headgear, right? Not really possible to determine either way, really. So we've got some amazing detail here, and it's blatantly obvious what it is. I really can't see how anyone could deny what this is. It's a portrait of somebody on Mars, and it's very, very large. This is probably something around 50 to 100 feet in height. I don't know exactly. And then we've got this rather strange thing sticking out of the nose here. We've got the nose here, nostril here, right? The nostril here, and the nose goes up like that, right? Up to here, and there's the eyes, obviously. Now, we got this thing. Let's get rid of that. Attached to the nose, we have this. Now, I've colorized this to highlight it, but I'll show you it in the black and white version in a minute. We got that joining to this, right? Let's do that again. There we are. And we have a strange structure or object on the ground here with what look like pipes coming out of it here, right? Going into this area here, right? Now, what could that be? I wonder. Let me show you on here, because I haven't colorized this. You can actually see the details for yourself. Now, it helps if you use a magnifier, hover zoom, free magnifier. You can set the level of zoom to whatever you want. Now, that level of zoom is a bit high, so I'm going to change that in the options, right? Let's make it less than that. Let's go to 2.4, okay? Lower level of zoom, because if you go in too close, it doesn't actually help. Right, so there we are. Make it a bit smaller. Now, there's the nose, as I showed you, there. And here you can see that this looks like some kind of piped object with a pipe coming out, or some kind of weird structure coming out of the nose here, right? That's the nose, that's the mouth, and this thing comes out. Now, this is partly an optical trick, I think, because we have shadow cast on this bit here, but this bit is above the shadow. So we've got the shadow at the bottom here, and this kind of sticks over it. So it looks like a pipe. And I can't work out what it is exactly And we have this thing, you can see where it's joined up here and it comes round, and we can see this pipe part sticking out here, which goes into the ground here, which is covered in sand and rubble. But there's some kind of structure underneath this here, right? You can see a shape here, and you can see something here going on, right? So what would that be? Why would there be something stuck into his nose or to the side of, or just next to his nose or nostril? It's very, very strange. You can actually see, in this version, you can see where it kind of comes out of the nostril here. So we've got a nostril here. That's the other nostril there, right? And the nose obviously goes up here, and we've got the eyes here, right? And there's the mouth. Like I said, there's the lip protruding there, right? And the chin below. Why would there be what seems to be an object sticking out of the nose? What can it possibly be used for? Now, is it possible that this area was surrounded by water? Yes, it is, because this is a lake bed. Could this be some kind of pump or attachment that was pumping water either in or out of this thing, this giant portrait of either a Martian god or king or very important person? Is this a pump? Or is it something else? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but you can see here, there's a structure here in the sand. You can just about make it out just there. In fact, what I'll do, I'll get rid of all these lines here, and I'm going to darken this right up, and we should be able to see these structures in here pop out a bit, because sand is not a solid, right? It's semi-transparent. This is why we make glass from it. Let's go dark and keep darkening it with contrast and see what we can pull out here in this sand and rubble, because there's some kind of detail here of something here, just here, right, and here. I don't know what it is, but there's something in there. It may be a wall or part of a structure, I don't know. But there's something going on, and this thing is joined to it, right? This pipe-like thing. Now, is it possible that there are, or were, rooms inside some of these buttes? I think it is. Now, a lot of these buttes have what look like entrances to them, which are sort of buried, okay? And these buttes probably go right down into the ground and are much deeper than this. And this is only the top part we're seeing, because there's probably 20 or 30 feet of sand in some areas here in Gale Crater, okay? This portrait may go right down and maybe like shoulders and a body to this. We don't know, because all this stuff is buried in deep sand, possibly up to 20 feet deep, maybe deeper, okay? But what is this thing? Why would there be something like that sticking out of his nose? Now, as I've shown before, a lot of the skulls and warrior heads that I found with helmets have breathing apparatus coming out of their nose or mouth. They have a tube or something coming out of their nose on their helmet, right? So that says to me, I'll show you some examples of that in a minute as well, of helmets with people inside them still, right? With a skull in there, a mummified skull in a helmet with breathing apparatus on them. I've got a number of those that I found. I wonder whether this is depicting this person with breathing gear coming out of his nose, because I have shown it and found other things like this before, but they're either human size or near human size skulls that I found, a lot of them, with helmets with breathing apparatus. So perhaps that's what it is. It's either that, or this is some kind of pump, and it was pumping water out of this thing. Maybe this got flooded, or something. Or maybe this was pumping air into it, because there are people living inside or below this thing. Now here's the other image from Sol 3062. This is the one nearer Mont Mercou here. This is Mont Mercou, coming down here, the edge of it. And we have here, just down here, a bunch of things which look like a group of animals. Now, I'm not saying they are a group of animals. I mean, I've actually called this Mars meercats, right? So that's a bit of a giveaway. And here, now I can't zoom right into this, you're going to need the magnifier. We have one here, another one or two here, and one standing up here. Now, is this an optical trick? Probably. Are these actually animals or meerkats? Probably not, right? But it's possible, because I have shown what look like meerkats before. Some of them carved. Lots of other animals as well, like that are carved, that look a bit like rabbits and rodents and other things. Giant mice and stuff like that. Very weird stuff going on here, okay? Now, these, like I said, this is probably just shale rock that's eroded, because we have some more up here, which looks very odd. Some of this stuff looks really complex and very, very intricate, I would say. But a lot of it is probably just shale rock that's eroded in funny ways, okay? But like I've said before, a lot of this stuff isn't actually just rock. A lot of it is concrete. And a lot of this stuff has like a wire or metal mesh inside of it, probably holding it together, right? A lot of this stuff. And you can see parts here that don't just look like normal rock, where we have different layers with parts in between, and a lot of it's got cross sections in it, like I've showed before. Basically, a lot of this stuff is concrete. It's not just natural sedimentary rock and sandstone or granite or anything like that. A lot of it is actually concrete, and I've proved that before. I will put a clip up in a minute as well showing some of that. But there's some very complex stuff going on here, and it looks very odd, some of this stuff. Very complicated. Unfortunately, the level of detail isn't great, so it's easy to misunderstand what you're looking at here. But that looks weird, just there. And this stuff up here is highly complex. And there looks like there's metal bars and parts in it, as if it's eroded, reinforced concrete, as I've shown before. So that may be what we're seeing here. We may be seeing some eroded concrete with bits of metal or something sticking up here. But they do look like, even though there's not much detail, they do look like animals. This one here looks like an animal standing up with ears sticking out, just there. And a smaller one next to it. And there's one here with ears sticking up, just here. But like I said, not enough detail to tell either way. So I'm not going to claim these are meerkats. I've just I had to give the Gigapan a name of some sort, so that to differentiate it from the others. So who knows? Are they meerkats, or are they just merely a coincidence? Probably. But it does look like a group of animals either sat or stood together, keeping lookout, probably spying on the rover. What is going on here? Very weird. So I'll take some close-up clips of that. There's not a lot of detail to be seen here, unfortunately. In the next few days, we'll probably get some more images of this area, and I might be able to spot them from another angle, and they may show up from a different angle or something, okay? So if they're still there and they haven't moved, then they're obviously just bits of rock. But if they're not there, and they have moved, then they're animals. Simple as that. And as always, if you want the raw images for these things, just click up here where it says NASA up at the top here, and that will take you to the original images. And these images have not been messed with. Now, the reason why I use these black and white images, they have a Bayer layer on them, right? Which is this grid. You can see the grid on these. See the grid? Right? That means they haven't been messed with. Because if this image had been messed with, you'd have to take the grid off of it first and mess with the image and then put the grid back on, which you're not going to do. It's impossible to do that, really. So these are proper raw images that have not been doctored. Now, some of the images are doctored, or at least they are downgraded. The colour versions of these images are downgraded and overcompressed, and they lose a lot of detail, and lots of details kind of get redacted in the compression process, okay? That's why I use these black and white ones, because they're clearer, they've not been messed with, they've got more information in them, even though they're not colour. There's a lot more detail in these, okay? especially when we got close-ups like this. And NASA, if you're watching still, I know some of you at NASA do watch this channel. Let's please have some even more close-ups of this and the area next to it over here, especially this here, and this here, right? We want a close-up of all this stuff. So we want another set of these images, but zoomed in even further. We want this to completely fill the image, fill the frame, and this, because there are, like I said before, there are things on these mounds which are not natural. Not only huge portraits of kings or gods from Mars, but also symbols and things carved into the side of them like we have here, right? And there's also the other portrait here of the Mars Emperor. We want a close-up of that, zoom right into that. We want to see what's below it here. There's some complex stuff going on here, and a lot of it is art, but it's a mixture of art and architecture we have here. This is important stuff, so we want close-ups. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you soon.